Hi, welcome to Pixie Dust Wanderlust. I'm Sarah, and today's video is about Embarkation Day tips for your Disney cruise vacation. So you've booked a cruise, you're getting ready to go, and you wonder what is that first day going to be like? So I want to give you some tips today to help make your first day on your Disney cruise as smooth as possible and help you have the best first day of vacation, because really Embarkation Day is kicking off your cruise vacation. So you may as well make it the best time possible. All right, so your first step to making the most out of your Embarkation Day actually comes before Embarkation Day. And that has to do with getting ready, checking in online, and getting the opportunity to get on the ship as early as you can. I advocate for getting on the ship as early as possible on boarding day because I really see that as your first day of vacation. You may as well have as much time on the ship as you possibly can to explore, to enjoy things on the ship, to eat, drink, have fun, and just kind of get into that vacation mindset. So I always try to get the earliest what's called port arrival time, the time that you're scheduled to arrive at the port and start your check-in process. I always try to get the earliest port arrival time that I possibly can. And so there are a few things to know in order to do this. So your port arrival time is chosen during your online check-in process. And when this happens is going to vary depending on whether you've sailed before or not. So if you've already sailed with Disney, you're part of what's called Disney's Castaway Club. It's their loyalty status program. And you might be able to check in earlier than if you were a new sailor. New sailors get to check in 30 days prior to embarkation. And so the online check-in process is where you enter all of the details for the people sailing with you. You include things like your travel details, your payment method, your documents like your passport or birth certificate, all of that stuff. And the final step of that is choosing what's called your port arrival time, or what's used online, your PAT. So getting the earliest port arrival time that you can helps you be able to kind of extend that vacation day, get on the ship, and start to unwind as soon as possible. If you're curious about tips for online check-in, let me know. Let me know in the comments below, because maybe I can do a future video with tips and tricks for having the quickest and most efficient online check-in possible. All right, another tip for getting an early port arrival time, if you don't want to worry about kind of the online check-in Olympics, getting through it as quickly as you can and competing for that early time, is actually to take Disney transportation to the port. So whichever port you're sailing from, there is the option to book transportation with Disney. They'll have a shuttle bus that takes you either from the airport or sometimes from specific hotels to the port to board the ship. And those who book that Disney transportation get some of the earliest port arrival times. They don't get the number one boarding group, but usually it's group 2 or 3. So they're going to be some of the first people allowed to get on the ship. This kind of takes the stress out of online check-in. You can check in really whenever you want to, not right at midnight on 30 days before your cruise. And you just know you're going to be able to easily get to the port and get that early arrival time. All right, so when we're getting to your actual sailing day, there are some things to keep in mind to prepare for embarkation. You can check your luggage at the port to be delivered to your stateroom later that day. And that's really, really convenient. Basically, you arrive at the port, you leave your baggage with the porters, and don't worry about it. You know, your bags are going to show up later. But it's also useful to pack a day bag with some key items that you might want to have with you for Embarkation Day. Because again, those bags that you're going to have checked to your room, you're not sure exactly when they're going to show up. Usually they'll be there before dinner time, but that's not a guarantee. And you might have items that you don't want to entrust to porters and just, know that they're going to show up. You want to keep them with you. So for your day bag, you should include things like your embarkation documents. You're going to have embarkation documents that you need to scan and show to the cast members at the port. Obviously, you don't want those in your checked bag. You need to have them on your person. So make sure that those stay in your day bag for Embarkation Day. Your identification documents, so either passports or birth certificates on certain cruises can also be used. You want to have those with you for check-in as well. And then any items that you want to keep with you, either for safekeeping or because you're going to want to use them during that first day. So any vital medications you should keep in your day bag. Alcohol, if you're bringing it with you on board. There are rules on Disney Cruise Line where you're allowed to bring, each adult sailing in your stateroom is allowed to bring either 2 bottles of wine or 1 6-pack of beer. And that's at Embarkation and actually also at each additional port. So if you go to a port and there's a local winery or a local beer you want to try, you can absolutely purchase those and bring them back on the ship with you. But that has to be in your carry-on bag. It cannot go in your checked baggage. All right, finally, if there's swimwear, if you want to use the pools, if you want to access the slides or splash pads on Embarkation Day, make sure that you have your swim gear in your day bag as well. All right, so suitcases generally will arrive at your stateroom prior to dinner, but again, that's not guaranteed. So if you want to change clothes before dinner, that also might be something that you want to consider putting in your day bag, any outfit to change into for the evening. All right, so you're packed, you're ready to go, and you have your port arrival time. Hopefully it's an early one. It's useful to know that your port arrival time is the time that you're expected to arrive at the port. You shouldn't expect that that's the time you're going to be boarding the ship. That's when you arrive at the port and start the check-in process. So you have to actually go through check-in, show your documents, get all set up. You have to go through security, and then you wait for your boarding group to be called. Your port arrival time and your boarding group are going to correspond with each other. So if you have an early port arrival time, you're also going to have an earlier boarding group. Later port arrival times have later boarding groups. But it's useful to know, don't come expecting that you're going to just walk right on the ship. It does take a little bit of time to go through that check-in process. All right, so you're officially on the ship. Vacation is ready to start. What do you want to do to have the most relaxing, most enjoyable first day on the ship possible? Our first stop whenever my family goes on a cruise is lunch. Usually we're going to be getting on the ship right around lunchtime, and so we want to go get something to eat. All right, so for lunch, you do have several options, and let's talk about the pros and cons of each of them. So first, you have the buffet. That's either Cabanas or Marceline Market, depending on the ship. And some of the pros of that is there's lots of variety. It's easy to just head up to the buffet, walk around, fill your plates. If you've got picky eaters, there's going to be something that appeals to everyone at the buffet. And sometimes people like kind of the festive atmosphere. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's just starting vacation. It can be a little hectic, but some people find that fun. And so going to the buffet is a good chance to kind of sample different things, have a quick lunch, and get started with the rest of your time on board. You also have the option to go to a sit-down restaurant. One of the main dining rooms will always be open for lunch on Embarkation Day. And some of the pros for this, it's a more relaxed experience. So the buffet, like I said, it can be a little hectic. It can be a little stressful sometimes if you don't like crowds, if you don't want to worry about finding a table. The sit-down restaurant is relaxed. It's easy. They'll find you a spot to sit. They'll come serve you. They'll wait on you. It's just a really chill way to start your vacation off. This tends to be my family's preference. We do like going to the sit-down lunch. One of the negatives can be there's not as much variety, so you do have a limited menu to choose from. I think that there are great options on that menu, but if it doesn't appeal to you, the buffet is going to have a lot more variety. All right, finally, you can skip both of those and go to the pool deck quick service restaurants if you want. So they'll have things like burgers, hot dogs, chicken tenders, sandwiches, fruit, pizza. On some of the newer ships, they have things like barbecue and tacos. That are really, really good. And so if you just want to head straight to the pool and start your time there, you can absolutely grab pool deck food and just go hang out, watch funnel vision, get in the pools, and start enjoying your time. All right, after you've had some lunch, there are a couple of things that you might want to consider to fill your afternoon. So first, if you're traveling with children, there are going to be open houses for the kids clubs, usually starting around 1 or 1:30 in the afternoon, so right after lunchtime. And you should absolutely go to those open houses with your kids if you're planning on them using the kids clubs. They should try the kids clubs. The kids clubs on Disney cruise ships are amazing, as you would expect with a Disney product. They're really tailored to families and to children. But the open houses can be a really useful way for you as parents to see where they're going to be playing. Open house times are the only times that adults are allowed in. Otherwise, it's closed for secure programming. So it's just for the kiddos to be checked in and out and the cast members. And so if you want to see where they're playing, It can also be really helpful to get them comfortable being in that space. So if you have kids who are maybe a little bit nervous about going to the kids clubs, you going with them that first time to explore, to see what's there, might help them feel a little bit more confident when they're heading in on their own. All right, you can also take some time to explore and find your way around the ship. Especially if it's a new ship, if you've never been on it before, it takes a little bit of time to figure out where things are. So take a little bit of time to explore, to find your way around, to find the places that you think you might want to be spending time. So finding the lounges, finding the adult district if you want to hang out there, finding the theaters or the buffet, making sure you know your way to the buffet and to the food. I like to just wander around and kind of get my bearings, figure out where things are on that first day. And then for the rest of the cruise, you feel more confident, you can find your way around without getting lost, without wondering, okay, I know that I've got this event in D Lounge, where is that? So I like to just kind of walk around and explore on the first day to get my bearings of the ship and to figure out where I'm going. All right, toward mid-afternoon, it varies depending on the sailing, but usually around 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to have what's called your muster drill. So this is the required safety drill that happens on Embarkation Day on every Disney cruise. If you've sailed with other cruise lines before, you will note that Disney does things a little bit differently. A lot of other cruise lines have gone to individual muster or virtual muster, where you're watching a video and you just have to report into your muster station. Your muster station is where you're going to go if there is an emergency on the ship. If, God forbid, something would happen where they need everyone to report to the lifeboats, you need to know where to go. So while other lines have gone to a virtual muster where you can just watch a video and then report to your muster station, Disney still does it where everyone on the ship reports to their muster station and takes part in the drill at the same time. So please note that is required. You do have to go. They will track you down if you don't show up. So make sure that you show up and make sure that you're on time, because the faster everybody shows up and is in their spot and is watching the safety procedures, the faster you're all done and ready to get on with the rest of your day. All right, so after this, you'll have the sail away party, and that can be really, really fun on the top deck of the ship. They'll have dancing and music and characters, and it's just an awesome way to start off that party vibe when you're getting into the cruise. Little kids especially, they'll have a dance party afterward, and it can just be a really kind of hyped up, energetic way to start that cruise. If you want a more low-key experience, absolutely still go outside. Go out on your veranda if you have one. Maybe go to the adult area on the ships, on the upper deck, and just watch as the ship sails out. It's a really pleasant way to kick off the cruise, see the ship sailing away. There are often people like waving and honking. They'll blow the ship's horns. And again, it's just about that ambiance of vacation has officially started and we're ready to enjoy. All right, so at this point, you're going to be getting into your evening, heading to dinner, heading to the shows, and really getting a hang for what that Disney cruise feeling is going to be and what your experience is going to be. So I hope this helps you have the best embarkation day possible. Remember, a little bit of preparation and a little bit of planning can make your day go really, really smoothly. All right, so if you found this video useful, informative, helpful, please throw a like down below. It does help bring other people to my channel. If you'd like to see future tips and tricks, please subscribe. And if you want help planning your own Disney travels and Disney adventures in the future, get in touch with me. There's contact information in my profile, or even just leave a comment below saying I'd love to have you plan, and I'll reach out. All right, until next time, bye-bye.